There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. And please excuse our apologies for being a couple of minutes behind. Good to see you all. Good afternoon to you, Mike. Hi, GB. How are you guys?
Doing well.
Doing great, and you're looking terrific.
You guys are the best. I don't know, the audience out there, I have the best team ever. GB and Mike are just so awesome. So with that, let me go ahead and share my screen. We'll do a quick intro. All right. It's not appearing. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Can you guys see can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. All right, so let's see, it looks like our numbers are setting. I'm gonna go ahead and dive in. Looks like something. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Claudia. It sounds like everyone can see my screen now. So here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lauren Simpson. I'm with the SBDC, or the Small Business Development Center. We're a national program with over 1,000 locations across the country. And we offer no-cost services to local small businesses. Now, our services are at no cost to you because of funding through the U.S. Small Business Administration, or the SBA, and from the California Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, or GoBiz. All of that to say, your tax dollars are at work, and that's why our services are free to you. And technology. All right. So for the Los Angeles network, which is the network that I represent, we serve the counties of Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, and Ventura. And you can see those service centers, or our SBDC centers, located on the map in front of you. You'll see we're as far out as Santa Clarita. We go over to Pasadena, Laverne, all the way down to Long Beach. So again, if you're within these Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, or Ventura counties, be sure to get in contact with one of our offices. Now, you'll want to do so because we offer no-cost business advising. And so you're able to meet one-on-one via Zoom at this point. We aren't doing anything in person, it's all via Zoom, with one of our business advisors. And so we have experts ranging from the topics of marketing, digital marketing, to licensing, permitting, finances, taxes. Honestly, you name it, we've got it. And then we also offer virtual trainings, much like the comprehensive workshop you've joined today. So as you can see on the screen, we are here to help. Be sure to get in contact with us today. You can reach us phone 665-81232, or you can go online, smallbizla.org/new client. Now, if you are outside of the Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, or Ventura counties, please go to americassbdc.org/find your SBDC. All right, so gonna quit my screen share. Housekeeping. We have a pretty cool presentation today. I'm not nervous at all. It's gonna be myself along with Mike. And we wanna be sure that all questions that you are putting into the Q&A are related to the topic at hand. So please, any questions, let's put those into the Q&A, and let's make sure that they are on topic. We'll reserve the chat for any websites or links or just tidbits of info that we'd like to share with you. I think that does it. Welcome, welcome, everyone. And hello again, GB. Hello to you, Mike.
Thanks, Lauren.
Hello.
Lauren, you ready to go? So the brief
Let's do
introduction
it.
here. I see a lot of new names. I have a CFO controller background. I have a finance degree, law degree, been an advisor for many, many years. So that's my background. GB, a lot of new names. Want to give a brief introduction?
Sure. As you can tell, I went to SC. I'm a tax guy, tax planning, preparation, not avoidance, mitigation is what we call. That's my background.
And Lauren, now it's your turn.
Oh my goodness, no pressure. So again, Lauren Simpson, I am a marketer. My specialty is digital marketing.
And what are we talking about today, Lauren?
We are talking about,
Digital marketing.
there we go.
Okay. And Lauren knows quite a bit about this topic, and I'm sure GB does too. So we're going to move forward from there. As you can see on my screen, we're going to be talking about 10 key metrics. There's many more metrics. Okay. I had to focus on, I couldn't fit them all on one presentation. Okay. So I picked out the 10 most important ones. And when you hear these terms, you probably say, I don't know what the hell that means, for good reason. Because if you're not in this world, you don't know what it means. We're going to be going through each one of these to explain them. So we have web traffic, sources and leads, right? We have new and returning visitors, something called a bounce rate. We're not talking about bouncing a ball. We have conversion rates. There's something called brand awareness, which has to do with social media reach. And GB, cost per lead, cost per acquisition, customer acquisition costs, customer lifetime value, and return on ad spend. And these are all important metrics. And if you don't understand them, that's okay. That's why we're here. So we're going to move forward with web traffic sources. There are a couple of key terms that you need to know. Direct traffic means that visitors are going to your site by directly typing your domain name, your website, into their browser. That is called direct traffic. Referral traffic is when somebody is referred to your site. So GB might be posting someplace else, and there's a referral from GB to GB's business from that other site. Organic search traffic means that somebody is visiting your site by entering a keyword in a search engine, and you need to know what a keyword is, and maybe I can explain that later. And then there's campaign traffic, and that means somebody is actually clicking on your site through a pay-per-click campaign or some other campaign. Anything to add to this, GB or Lauren? We good?
No, I think we're really good.
Okay,
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Mike, go back to that last slide 1 second. Came across a really cool stat as you're speaking about organic search traffic. So going to like the Googles, the Bing and Yahoo, I found that nearly 80% of Google's revenue is through search. So people ask a question about search, like just about 80% of their revenue is through search. And then I have another cool stat. So over 34,000 searches are happening per second.
Wow. Wow.
34,000, 121 million per hour, 280
Jeez.
million per day. So if you don't have a really great website, if you aren't using those keywords and key terms, if your SEO isn't up to par, you are truly, truly missing out. So I'll let you continue, but I came across those fun stats today and I was like, oh, we have to share.
Absolutely. A keyword is a word at your site. And if somebody enters that search word in a Google engine, if you have that word in your site, it may find it. And the more keywords
Correct.
you have, this is called SEO, search engine optimization, but the better off you are. I've seen sites where the keywords are like 100. That's not enough. You need thousands. Something like GB, I don't know if you looked at it, GB, you probably have thousands of keywords. Am I correct? You're muted, GB.
That is correct.
Right. So here's an example of some web traffic sources for a site. You can see in this particular example, Google organic searches, there was 2,034 visits. And then through Facebook, through CPC campaign, 658, through Facebook referral, right? Some organic through Bing, DuckDuckGo, etc. All right. So this is a breakdown of web traffic sources statistics. This information comes from various tracking sources like Google Analytics. Okay. And in this particular case, you can see 59% of the searches came through organic search, which is a good thing. That's what you want. You don't have to pay for someone to reach you. Okay.
Sure.
You might have to, but it's better if you get those searches directed to your site through Bing or Google or Yahoo. Anything to add?
No, you're spot on.
Okay. So now we have to look at new and returning visitors. And by the way, if you have not connected Google Analytics to your site, you should. It doesn't cost any money. If you don't know how to do that, speak to Lauren. Come to one of our advisors. We can help you do that. Okay. So some other key terms: total new returning visitors. So total visitors, just the number of users that have visited your site over a certain period of time. New visitors, those who are new to your site. They're distinct individuals. They're those who haven't been to your site before. There is a tracking snippet that Google uses in order to track this information. So the Google's tracking snippet looks for a tracking cookie on their device. That's what a cookie is. If the cookie is not present, Google creates one and considers this a new user. Okay. Then returning visitors are those who have been to your site before and they've come back to it. You want both. You want to see new visitors and returning visitors.
Mhm.
Anything to add?
Nope.
Okay. So here's an example. 89% of the visitors to this particular site were new users as opposed to returning users. Depends on the industry, by the way. In GB's case, he's a CPA. He wants people coming back to his site. He wants returning visitors, right? In some industries, it may not be necessary to have returning visitors. It may be a one-off situation. As GB always says, it depends. Yes. Okay, so you can see the breakdown here. Why are we showing this? Because you need to track this information. You need to understand what you're looking at. And it's not just, is it returning a new, but where are they coming from? Here we have 10% of the visitors coming from the United Kingdom and from Canada. That's awesome, right? So maybe you want to specialize in going in and doing a special promotion in those geographic locations. You want to talk about bounce rate? Lauren?
Yeah, let's do it.
Go ahead.
So Mike has a really great slide. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you ready for me?
Yeah, I'm waiting for you. Go for it.
Okay. So you can see information related to what bounce rate is, per the slide in front of you. It is essentially when someone is on your website and then they bounce or go from one page to another. The rate that you're paying attention to, well, you're paying attention to all rates, but what you're wanting to see a high bounce rate is within your website. So that means that someone has come to your site and they're bouncing between the pages of your website. That means you're keeping that visitor within your site. Typically, because you have really compelling content and content that speaks to the user. Having a high bounce rate in that regard is amazing. Now, if you have a high bounce rate, people coming to your site and then leaving, that isn't good. So that means we need to reassess the content that is on the page. If you are, so that's paying attention to your keywords and making sure you're drawing in the correct visitor, but then also making sure that once you have that visitor on your site, you are keeping them within your site. You never want anyone to leave, you want them to stay. One really good way of ensuring that is I've seen a lot of clients create websites. They'll have something that links to information somewhere else outside of their website. And instead of making sure that they still continue to keep that person within their site, they allow them to leave and then that person doesn't come back. So all of that to say, when you are creating these links, external links to, let's say I am selling apple pies, you're on my website to see all about my apple pies. And now I'm suggesting a place to purchase great apples to purchase great apples. I am going to have that link, but then that link is going to open up a new tab so that now the person who has visited my site still has one tab, that's my website, and they have an additional tab that speaks to the information I was trying to share with them. In this case, it's the apples. If that is confusing, please drop that into the Q&A and I can try to better explain myself. But essentially, you want to be sure that whoever comes to your site stays on your site. And the way you keep them there is by making sure you have the correct content as well as compelling content to keep them there and keep them interested.
It's a great explanation. And what Lauren was referring to is something called a call to action, a CTA. It means you want to have somebody do something at your site. GB might put an article up on a site, and someone clicks on it, that means they haven't bounced from the site. Okay.
That's right.
And here's an example of some bounce rates. And somebody with an almost 80% bounce rate, that's not a good thing. They don't have compelling content. They haven't done what Lauren has just suggested. Okay. You always want to attract people in by providing them with some sort of engagement that they'll be happy with. Okay. So would you agree, Lauren, that almost an 80% bounce rate is really not a good thing?
If they're bouncing out of your website, definitely. That means that they're popping onto your site, they're leaving and they aren't coming back in most cases. Now, if you have a nearly 80% bounce rate, but it's within your site, that means they're going from your homepage and then jumping over to where they can actually purchase your product or jumping over to your blog. Having a high bounce rate in that regard is wonderful.
What you see on the screen here is actually individual pages within a site. This is somebody who is making coffee or coffee substitute out of mushrooms, particular mushrooms. And it's good for your brain. So you can see that within these individual pages, some of the bounce rates are like 90%, but they're bouncing from page to page, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, as Lauren said. Now, we're moving on. Yeah, we're moving on from bounce rate to another topic. This is leads and conversions, and Lauren mentioned it earlier. There's something called a lead to customer conversion rate, or sales conversion rate, or lead conversion rate. The point is, you want to convert leads to customers. So somebody comes to GB's site, they're interested in having tax preparation done. If they don't actually convert to a customer, to a client, that, and especially if GB has paid for a pay-per-click campaign, he spent money and hasn't generated a good conversion if that happens over and over again. GB, have you done that, by the way? Have you engaged in pay-per-click campaigns?
I have in the past, yes.
And
I've
have
had
you
some
done,
professionals do it for me who are much more well-versed in this than I am.
right. And if you don't get a high conversion rate, then you're just spending your money and it's not working out well.
Exactly. Yes.
Mhm.
So key terms, a qualified lead is especially true in the service industry. It's a prospective customer who has expressed his or her interest in purchasing your product or service, okay? And they meet a certain set of qualifications. There could be a number of people that approach you in your business. They're not qualified leads. They don't have the money to purchase a product or service. They're in the wrong geographic area, so you can't really service them possibly. Could be any number of reasons why they're not qualified. Another reason to look at the geographic and other demographic factors when you look at the analytics, okay? So you want qualified leads. How do you get qualified leads? You do targeting appropriately to it's called segmenting the market. So a qualified lead, it would be sure of your products or service. They are certain they want to buy. You don't just want people walking around the dealer lot, just, hey, that looks like a cool car. That's not a qualified lead. That's just someone who likes cool cars, okay? They have to have the budget to purchase it. And they're ready to buy within a reasonable time frame. Take the dealership. You go to the lot. I've been to lots before, and first question I got from a salesperson is, are you ready to buy it today? I didn't like that particular question, okay? Because all I did was walk on the lot. And being accosted like that is really, I'm not really happy about that. Okay, I walked away. But I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to qualify the lead, but in a bad way. Okay. And you're not just looking out of curiosity. and you provide sort of contact details, which is really important, or ask you a question when they go to your site. Or they sign some paperwork, like ask for a bid. GB's case, they sign off from some sort of paperwork. Anyone providing service, sign off from some paperwork. Or they go ahead and place an order, or they request some information, a catalog from you. That's a qualified lead. You want to try to avoid unqualified leads. So that means you have to set up your website to vet through and have your messaging and communications screen through unqualified leads and qualified leads. Anything to add? Lauren, GB?
I
No?
don't.
Okay. So here's an example of conversions.
Mhm.
We've had organic search, right? 167. In this case, there was a cost to go ahead and generate these views, and they got a conversion rate of 3.15%. Is that a great conversion rate? No. Is it poor? Depends. You know, what's the industry? What are they selling? What are they trying to do? I can't tell you when that's good or bad because they need more information, right? And you have to look at your competitors. You want to talk about this, Lauren?
I was just going to say, you've kind of jumped into cost per click as well, right? So when you are vetting these companies or these platforms to do your bidding, just like GB said, yeah, he pays for professionals to handle this for him. That's because as you're spending your money, like you see that the $35 for a click, what if you had 1,000 people click? It- Depending on the platform, they're going to ensure, or to the best of their ability, be able to filter out those conversions that aren't necessarily, or those clicks that aren't necessarily going to be for profit for you on your end. That said, as you guys are diving into purchasing or paid advertising, please be sure that you're doing your homework. That's going to be my biggest my biggest advice there, or piece of advice there, is just to do your homework so that first off, you understand, even if it's like on a peripheral level, but understand the work that you're expecting this professional to do for you. And then also that they know what they're doing, so that as you're spending your money, I mean, your hard-earned money, right? We want to make sure that as we're putting monies out there, that it is bringing forth business and even more money or profit, I
Right.
should say.
Right. Now, I want to be very clear of what you're seeing on the screen. This is the average order value was $35.30. So you can see for paid search,
Mhm.
the average order value was $12.63, but for direct search, it was $62.36. So that's how much people paid for the product or service. Now you can see the timeline here. And for some reason, in mid-April, the e-commerce conversion rate went up. Can't tell you why. Some businesses have seasonality, which will impact on the conversion rates. Now we're moving on to a new metric. And I realize this is going fast. We're here to help you. Come make appointments with us. There's something called reach, impressions, and engagement. 3 key terms when it comes to social media. Reach is the total number of people who see your content. It's the number of unique people who see your content, right? Impressions is different. It's the number of times your content is displayed, whether or not somebody clicks on it. And engagement is all the ways a customer may interact with your business via technology. So interaction can go through chatbots and customer service calls and surveys, clicking on a link in an email, reposting a tweet, linking it, or liking or linking a TikTok video, providing a review. Those are all examples of interaction. So keep in mind the differences between reach, impressions, and engagement, and track them over time so you can take action. Lauren?
Sorry, when it comes to social, yes, we're looking at the reach, we're looking at impressions. Please know that you can see impression numbers at, over 1,000,000% higher than, last year, this certain piece of content. That said, especially for those who are using social media as a tool to market their business, engagement and reach are huge. Engagement is great because, as you can see, it's a unique person. So you can actually say, okay, this is how many people I reached. This is how many people saw my content. Engagement are those conversions we were just talking about, or potential conversions that we were just talking about. Engagement are people who actually interacted with your content. If I'm taking the time to like something, to comment on something, the really great thing is if they save it on Instagram, then that means that I actually have a true interest in the product or service. So those are the ones that you really want to then reach back out to. Luckily on Instagram, you can see it by your heart. So you go into your profile and you hearts, and you can see how many people, engage with your content. Those are people that I would, immediately reach back out to and say, hey, I saw that you saw X, Y, and Z, thank you, or, however you want to approach it. But anytime anyone engages with your content, you want to make sure you're engaging back.
And you can encourage that engagement.
Yep.
Offer a discount code if somebody does something. Highlight a customer. Ask them for videos. You can do all sorts of things to encourage engagement, which then eventually may lead to additional sales for you. Have a contest. Lots of people use
Even if it isn't
contests.
sales, Mike, it's going to be exposure.
Yep, it's going to be close, right?
Sorry, I was just going to say, even if, yeah, that's right. Because
Yeah,
that's what it's
that's
all
right.
about, right? You're trying to get exposure to your product or service and hopefully, drive those conversions. So you're
Right.
spot on.
Don't be passive in the way you approach social media. Be active.
Mhm.
And that's just one
Active and
strategy. Yes. So here's an example of what a report might look like. Well, we all know what a follower is, right? But here's an example of impressions versus reach versus follows. Okay. And the impressions are broken down by various categories, like hashtags. We might have to discuss hashtags on it. And so you can see there were 64,581 impressions,
Mhm.
54,700 reach, 53 follows out of this. Okay. So 97% weren't following. Well, not necessarily good, but it depends, of course, in the industry. Okay. People see hashtags all the time, Lauren, but they don't know what the hashtags mean, why people do that. So want to explain that?
Sure. So hashtags, remember we were speaking about key terms or keywords. Those should be your hashtags. And so they're a means of search on social media. That means if you are my answer is going to be two-part. If you are a tax preparer, you want to make sure that your bio speaks to tax preparing or says those keywords and that you're using those as hashtags so that as people are coming into that social media platform, they are going to search via that hashtag, and then your business is going to come up. So making sure that you're using hashtags first off, and you want to make sure you're using several. So I think the number we like to stick to is 11. No less than 11 hashtags. Make sure that they, again, are keywords. So for SEO purposes, or search engine optimization purposes, you want to make sure that the hashtags you're using are over 11, that they are actual terms that you can find on your website, and that they are also terms that you are using in your social media posts. I brought up your bio. You want to make sure that your social media bio includes key terms as well. So again, as people are searching, your profile pops up in their search.
Great. There is something called a social media content calendar. If you haven't heard that term before, reach out to us. What you're doing is you're planning your content over time over specific themes, especially around holidays. So July 4th comes about. Before July 4th comes about, you might want to have themes concerning your social media content postings, and you actually develop a calendar around those postings.
Mm-hmm.
So I already showed this conversion, sorry, that's duplicated. Now, GB, we're getting into costs, okay? Cost per lead. A cost per lead measures how cost effective your marketing campaigns are when it comes to generating new leads. Okay, and what's a lead? It's an individual or business that has expressed interest in your product or service by completing a goal. So it provides your team, your marketing team, and you might be your own marketing team, with a tangible dollar figure to understand how the money was spent. Is it appropriate in acquiring new leads, right? So lead is someone who shows interest in your product, service, etc., and they give you some sort of contact information, email, phone number, something, right? They convert from visitors to leads by filling out a form, downloading something, starting a conversation, some sort of interaction with you. Physically visiting, if somebody comes and visits GB, that's a lead. Okay, what GB does with that is that's on him. GB. Okay, so how do you calculate it? Let's say we engage in a pay-per-click campaign. A pay-per-click campaign is where you're paying to have ads posted on social media platforms. Okay, that's basically what a pay-per-click campaign is. And there's a lot of science that goes around it. So in this case, we had paid $5,000. We got users converted to leads, not customers. They're leads. They may be customers. 500 users converted to leads. Cost per lead is 10%, because 500 divided by 5,000, 10%. And that's how you do the calculation. We good with this? Anything to add with? Okay. So here's a breakdown by industry of the average cost per lead. This is put out by HubSpot, which is a major marketing, that digital marketing organization, and they put out a lot of great stuff. Okay. So you can see within IT and services, the average cost per lead is $370. Overall, it's $198. This is from 2017. Okay. So it might be a little bit higher today. As you look down the list here, you're going to see on average where the cost per leads, are for each type of various industries. So if you're a nonprofit, it's only $43. But if you're in financial services, it's $272, et cetera. So you can use this as a guideline to determine whether or not you're above and beyond or below these kind of overall averages. And also you have to take into consideration company size and company revenue. Obviously, if you're a much larger business, your cost per lead might be higher. Okay. Most of our clients are between the 2 and the 50 size level companies, and the average cost per lead is $147, which is lower than the $198 across all industries. Now, something called customer acquisition costs. So moving beyond cost per lead, we're going to customer acquisition cost. And it's the best approximation of the total cost of acquiring a new customer. Generally, it should include things like advertising, salary of marketeers or agencies, cost of your salespeople, divided by the number of customers acquired. I have an example. We have an ad spend of $150,000. The ad spend could be an event. It could be a print media campaign. It could be a broadcast media campaign. But the total ad spend over a period of time was $150,000. We got 3,000 new customers out of that. You take 150 divided by 3,000, and our cost per acquisition is $50. Is that good? Is that bad? It depends on your industry and what you're doing. Here's some averages. Okay. So for travel, the average customer acquisition cost is $7. But you can see if you're into technology, it's $182. And if you're into banking insurance, it's $303. And if you're into software, it's $395. So it depends on where you are, what industry you're in, what size you are. We can get these stats for you. Okay. I've got these stats through various resources. Okay. It's through Propeller. You can look up the stats too, but we're here to help you. Don't engage in a campaign. Even don't engage in an agency talk to us. Lauren can direct you to the proper advisor to help you do these decisions. Okay. Let me stay on that for a minute so everybody can see. Consumer goods, $22. Manufacturing, $83. Marketing agency, $141. So it depends on what you're doing. Now, something called customer lifetime value. It is the total worth to a business of a customer over the whole period of their relationship. Okay. So it's not just cost per acquisition. It's how much value that that customer brings to you over a lifetime. So you take the average dollar amount of a purchase times the number of purchases per year times the average length of the customer relationship, and that gives you a customer lifetime value. I realize it's a little bit of math that you have to go through here because you're multiplying X by Y by Z to get to the number. That's how it works, okay? And there's different types of models for determining customer lifetime value. One is a predictive model where you're forecasting the behavior of existing new customers using something called regression, which is a statistical analysis, okay? And most people use the historical model. You use the past data to predict the value, considering whether or not the customer will continue with the company or not. And the average order value is used for the calculation. I know this is getting a little bit technical. This is what marketing people are for, statisticians are for, but you can do it as well, okay? And so here's some calculations that explains it. So we have a situation, we have an average purchase value, total revenue, $1.2 million, 100 orders. This is maybe a particular customer. So $12,000 or a series of customers, $12,000 per order, right? And then we have to determine what their purchase frequency rate is, 10 per year, okay? So it's 10 per year. So you take the average purchase value, multiply it by the frequency rate. The customer value is 12,000 divided by 10, so it's $1,200. That's the calculation, right? Then the customer lifetime span, you have 5 customers times 10 per year, plus 5 customers times 10 years, you get to 150, divide by 10, you get to 15. Then you take 1,200 times 15. In the end, the average customer lifetime value for this business is $18,000 because we're taking the frequency of the purchases, the average order value, and the customer lifespan to come up with the number. Why is this important? You need to know what the customer lifetime value is for your business. And you want to grow that over time. This is why you want loyalty. You want people to keep coming back to you because the more people buy from you, the longer they stay with you. I'll give you an example. I've been in Bank of America for 30 years, okay? It's the bank I knew when I came out here, and they're everywhere, okay? I've been with Verizon for, I don't know, 30 years as well. I don't want to change, okay? You want to develop that type of loyalty, and your customer lifetime value will just continue to grow and grow and grow. Anything to add, GB? You want to talk about this a little bit?
Yes, actually, this is something I always encourage my clients to track and be aware of with their marketing team, because this information is extremely valuable in a business plan. So if you're trying to raise money, whether from an investor, sometime from private funding, or even a bank, using this, you can show that, hey, if you give me X, I can turn it into Y, and I can pay you and keep a profit for myself. So these are key metrics that are important to track, not just for your own purposes, but also for expansion purposes.
Thank you. Yes. And if you're confused by this, it's okay. Let us know. We'll help you. And we have lots of people that know this information. Okay. Now, return on ad spend is extremely important. I'm going to discuss this and give you an example. Return on ad spend is when you say, I've already spent the money. I spent $100,000 over the year on all ads. Okay. So what did I get in return for that? And by the way, that $100,000 included possibly some salary costs, some vendor costs, some affiliate costs. Okay, the total amount and of the $100,000, they get $300,000 in revenue. Then my return on ad spend is 3, because it's 300,000 divided by 100,000. Extremely important measure for you to look at. You need to always know what your return on your investment is, on your return on ad spend is. Can I tell you what's appropriate for your industry? Maybe, maybe not. But what I'm telling you, this is something you need to look at. You need to look at your historically over time when it's going up and down. So we have an example. This is a real customer of mine, client, SBDC client, okay? In 2021, they had sales of $800,000 approximately. And they had an ad spend of about $87,000, okay? And their ad revenue, $220,000. So they spent $87,000 on ad spend. They returned $220,000 in revenue. So the average return on ad spend was 2.53. You take the $220,000, divide by the ad spend of 87,000, you get 2.53. Is it good? Is it bad? Depends on the industry. They're in the apparel industry. So they said, we're going to spend approximately 11% of our revenue on ads. How much should you spend on ads and marketing? TV? It depends, right?
Correct. It depends. And it depends upon how initially the fraction, the percentage will be much higher because the revenues are lower. But over time, once you have brand recognition, you have enough SEO going for you, it will go down. But initially, I always tell my clients, your overhead will grow faster than your revenue initially. And over time, you have economy of scale to kick in.
Right. It also depends on where you're spending the money. So this is a particular company that is spending money on Etsy and Amazon and Lauren, Google AdWords and Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and Sage and some other things, okay?
And the large macroeconomic issues will also take factor because I saw my clients' costs quadruple, sometimes go up 5 times during the pandemic because shops were closed and people were doing more and more online sales. So they were doing larger campaigns, just like, if you try to buy TV or radio ad right now, you are going to pay an astronomically high price because the politicians are buying the airwaves. So supply and demand will come into play.
Right. Now, I want you to take a look at this particular company. This means it's going to be true for you. You can see that Etsy had the highest return on ad spend for this particular company, okay? Amazon came in second, and they actually didn't do well on Sage. Actually, I don't even know what Sage is. Do you know what Sage is, Lauren? I don't know what that is, but
No, I haven't heard of Sage.
in any case, I didn't spend much money with them anyway. All right. So for this particular company, the best return is on Etsy. Doesn't mean that's true for you. Okay. But this is how you should do it. You should track it in detail. Now, I added this in. Do you want to? So this is a chart that gives you some strategies associated with building links. Backlinks are part of search engine optimization. You want to explain what backlinks are, Lauren?
First off, Mike, what a great list. I haven't seen this graphic before.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty
Guest
good.
posting. No, yeah, this is really good.
Can you see
I'm
it?
sorry, what was your question? I was reading your thing.
Do you want to explain we don't explain what it is? What a backlink is?
Oh yeah, for sure. So essentially, backlinks, as Mike was saying, are used a ton when it comes to blogging. So let me just give you the definition. Backlinks are inbound links. So they're incoming links or ways or links that are one way, meaning that you click and you go to the source, whatever source it is that you're looking for, or piece of information it is that you're looking for. A lot of times we're using them. So as you're building, I'm sorry, I'm trying to go back. As you're building your SEO program, so making sure that you are using your keywords correctly, or using, or first off, having keywords and then using correct keywords as it pertains to your business or service, then it becomes part of your SEO program. Backlinks are essential to that as well. Again, they're those incoming links. So you're wanting to make sure that the content that you're building has a link associated to it, so that as your content is going out, people are clicking, using that link to come to your website, which of course has all the other information that you're looking for your potential customer to have.
Thank you. And what you see on the screen is a list of various ways to generate backlinks, because the more backlinks that you have, possibly the more leads you will generate to your site. That's the point. So for example, if you're blogging, you put a link to your site in the blog. Okay.
Yep.
If you do something on Facebook, if you have a company Facebook page, link back to your site. Public relations, link back to your site.
Yep.
The more backlinks you have, the more visibility that you have in the digital world. By the way, this comes
Mike,
from,
you have,
yes.
oh, go ahead.
No.
I was just going to add a note. You have at the top of your list, which I think is where it should be, the guest posting. That is a great way of also cross promotion. So if it's a guest post, then it means that you have an expert or you have someone who is creating the content for you, especially if that person has a really great following. In any of your guest posting, you want to make sure that they are sharing on their platforms, hopefully, right? But then of course that the link always comes back to your website. I just saw that and I wanted to make sure I threw that out there. Guest posting, that can also translate into cross promotion on social media as well. So if you're posting, if you have a customer or client or even an influencer who is posting your product or service, you want to make sure that they're always tagging you and sending people right back to you.
Right. You'll also notice here business directories. If you belong to a professional group, as GB does, have your business listed in that directory online.
Yep.
Right. So if you write to Lauren, and Lauren, you'll put your email in the chat room, please. Lauren can provide you with this presentation. She has it, and come and see us. That's what I have for today. Be happy to answer any other questions. I will stop the share. If there's no questions, I'll ask GB. GB, do you have a thought for what you want to present next week?
Yes, I do. Next week, we'll talk about closing or dissolving or walking away from an entity. People get very excited when they create an LLC or a corporation, but sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes an idea is delayed because a life event happens. You cannot just walk away from an entity. Somebody, the state, is giving you a charter to operate as an LLC or a corporation. So if you have to dissolve an entity, that's what we'll talk about next week, to do so properly and avoiding legal and tax consequences.
Great. Terrific. So Lauren, awesome job. Okay. And yeah, somebody's already asking. So Lauren, you have to put your email in the chat room. Thank you so much, everybody, for your attention today. We appreciate GB as always. Look forward to seeing you next week. And I hope everybody has a wonderful week ahead of them. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye, Lauren. Bye, Mike.
Thanks, GB. Bye.
See you.
Shakira, I see you on here. I am including my email address. Please shoot me an email and I will get that presentation to you. So, there you go. Okay. For anyone actually who is looking to receive that presentation, we of course always have our presentations on, or our sessions, I should say, on our YouTube playlist. But if you are looking to actually receive the presentation or Mike's slides, go ahead and shoot me an email and I'll get it over to you. If not, by the end of this week, it'll be first thing on Monday. And I think we've got it. Thanks everyone for joining us. We will see you next week, Thursday at 1 p.m. Bye. Oh, one more cue. I think we got it. Thanks everyone. Bye.